friends, Laura A. Grace here, the author of Dear Author, Letters from a Bookish Fangirl, Team Lines of Poetry Collection, and Gathering Faith, my upcoming manga. Happy Top 5 Wednesday! As you guys might have noticed, you're like, this is not the first Top 5 Wednesday of the month of April, and I do apologize for that, guys. I looked at the prompt for last week, and I really just didn't know what to do. The prompt was mismatched titles, I can say that, and manga just tends to have really on point titles, and I just didn't know any. So I didn't do last week for Top 5 Wednesday, and if you're not familiar with Top 5 Wednesday is, Top 5 Wednesday was formed by Lainey back in 2013. We are now since on Goodreads though. I'll leave a link down below in the description. And basically each Wednesday, Alex, who has been doing the prompts this year, she puts up a list of prompts that we do on Wednesdays, and then we share 5 books, in this case manga, that go with those said prompts. And like I said, yeah, last week was mismatched titles, and I was just like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know any, like, off the top of my head, especially 5. I mean, I think I maybe had 1, but at this time, I don't remember what it was. But for this week's prompt, I'm pretty excited for. It is incorrect ratings. And so basically for this prompt, it's talking about where we read a book, then we went on Goodreads, and we saw like it had this much lower rating, especially if we enjoyed that said title. Or it could be the opposite, where a lot of people were giving the book high ratings, but then you gave it a low rating. Today I'm focusing on books that I absolutely loved, or I think I will love, because I think one of them I have not actually just read just yet, but I plan to read it this month. And then went on Goodreads and was like heartbroken to see that these had like lower ratings, and or one of them, like the focus was low ratings, and I was just so sad. So let's dive in to these manga titles because I'm so excited to share them. And the first one, and these are in no certain order by the way, but for the first one, I was shocked. Its overall rating was 3.57 on Goodreads, and I absolutely loved it. I've read it twice, and that is The Heiress and the Chauffeur. Christy Liu was the one who recommended, not directly these titles to me, but she had did a reel on Instagram about 5 short shoujo manga titles that you could read, like series you could read in a weekend. And I picked this one up after like reading the synopsis, and I loved it. I loved it. She is the same mangaka that is doing the very popular Prince Freya right now. And I haven't read Prince Freya, but I am always down for like some historical manga. And though the manga she is very point blank that she's like, do not read this manga and think that this correctly reflects the time period. I believe the time period is... Oh man, it doesn't say, I can't remember, but it is sort of like when there's a transition happening in Japan. It's not the Meiji era, but where things are becoming sort of like quote unquote more modern or more westernized. And she here, our main character, oh wait, I found it. It's the Taisho era is when this like manga is set. And our main character here, Sayaka, she is I wouldn't say royalty, but her family is very wealthy and she's an heiress, hence the title. And she has some shenanigans here with her chauffeur, and there's a lot of good talk about social standing, and the romance is very, very, very good. I really enjoyed this series. And like I said, I was heartbroken to go over on Goodreads and people gave it like fairly low ratings because I really enjoyed book 1, but book 2 was just so good. The art is amazing. I highly recommend it if you like historical romance, even if the historical part is not 100% accurate. Highly recommend. For number 2, this was another one that I was surprised. So when I went to go actually look at the rating, it had a higher rating of 4.04, I believe. But like the reviews that are featured are like all 1 stars. And that is Backstage Prince. I actually read almost all of this manga in some Shoujo Beat title magazines that my friend Maeve had sent me. And this was one of the volumes, or one of the like ongoing chapters I have been reading in the magazines, and I loved it. I loved it. Yes, there were a few parts I'm like, okay, this is a little bit over dramatic. And I was like, I'm not really sure if this is 100% like accurate, but I loved the story. Like, we have our main guy here who is really, I don't think down to earth is the right word, but he doesn't like people, but he is an actor of some sort and does a certain kind of theater. And the main girl here, I don't remember her name because I read it quite a few weeks ago, but then I picked up the manga to like read it straight through, and I have not reread it since. But our main girl, she's so sweet. She loves people. She's like the 100% opposite, and it's funny. This couple actually reminded me of my husband, though he does doesn't hate people. Definitely not saying that. But we do have where he's more like quiet personality and I'm more outgoing, even though I'm an introvert. So I'm like the ambivert, I think is what you call them. I don't know, just it made me happy. This series really made me happy, and I was sad to see like these 1-star reviews that were featured for this series because it was really good. It was really good. I said there's a few like dramatic parts that I'm just like, I don't feel like that like it's too fast. It's happening too fast. But the story overall, I really, really loved. And I'm pretty sure I would give it like 4.5 stars, 5 stars, because it's just a really fun series. For number 2, I'm pretty excited to feature this because Maeve also recommended this series to me, and it's funny, I read the first 2 volumes and I know I was completely wrecked in the second volume, and I have not finished reading or started volume 3, but I feel ready because I actually want to feature this series on my channel, especially if you like dark fantasy. I think out of all of the titles I'm featuring here today, I think this had the lowest rating on Goodreads, and I think it was like 3.69, and that is Fairy Tale Battle Royale. This series, it is pretty dark. Now, I'm not going to deny that. It's dark fantasy for a reason, and it does have some dark themes, especially in book 3 when I skimmed through it. There's a lot more darkness in this one, but it's very clean for a dark fantasy, and I have read a dark fantasy that I did like and I did enjoy, and I will leave a link to that in the cards or put it in the cards because if you like stories that have slight horror elements and dark fantasy and don't mind seeing how creative a person can be when in ways that water could like take your life, I definitely recommend it, but prepare yourself for that ending. But anyway, yes, Fairy Tale Battle Royale. This is a good dark fantasy series, especially if you enjoy fairy tale, not retellings, but you like fairy tales, because this series really has an interesting twist on fairy tales that was very, very fascinating. Our main girl, her name is Alba. She is bullied, like horribly bullied. Like this had one of the worst bullying scenes I've seen in manga, but it does play a role in the story. And basically what happens is she has a contract that comes to her. I know it's very, very vague. She signs it and wishes that her classmates would be her friend. They do become her friend, but what she doesn't realize is that the price of that is that she goes to Alice in Wonderland, becomes Alice, and she is in this dark Alice in Wonderland version, and things are not what they seem. It's really good. I really enjoyed this first volume. I gave a little bit lower rating for the second one because I didn't like things that happened in this second one, but the second one is still an excellent story, and I can say I'm like nervously excited to dive into book 3 to see what happens. I'm sad that book 4 somebody has still at my library and has not returned it. But this is a great series. I definitely don't think it should have such low ratings because it's really good and it's not slow. It has a great building up of like where you're curious and you want to know things that are happening, and it gets more complicated as the series progresses. Like not in a bad complicated way, but like this is not good for our main character here. So definitely I recommend this one as well. Oops, I accidentally lied. So this title that I'm about to feature had the lowest rating, and I was super sad by this one as well because this one I really, really enjoy, and that is Shikimoris Not Just a Cutie. Volume 1, have read it twice. Absolutely love Volume 1. It is actually going to be having an anime. I don't know when it's supposed to release, but I know the voice actor that does Shikimori, man, she captures the coolness of this character. And I think people didn't enjoy this because the chapters are really short. Like that is a chapter right there. Like just those few pages. And then the next one's sort of the same way. So I believe the mangaka said that he started doing this manga on Twitter. He wanted to do something different for his followers and keep them on their toes. And I really think that he did a great job of this because it's just fun. It is like so sweet, and it's interesting to have the main girl be like the cool guy and then the guy be sort of have like, not that it's like a gender bent kind of story, but I feel like the tropes are gender bent, if that makes sense. And it's done so well, and it's funny, and I definitely laughed. And our main guy, his name is, Izumi. Here, look how cute they are. Look how cute they are, but that's Izumi. He is so adorable. He is so adorable. I love Izumi. He is just so sweet. And this was just a really fun manga. The art was so well done, and when Shikimori's cool She is totally cool. So I definitely recommend taking a chance on it. And yes, there are a few parts where it does feel repetitive. And when I read it the second time, it wasn't nearly as quote unquote annoying, but I did love it. I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars both times that I read it because it's just such a great story, and it's a quick story as well. For our last one, this is the one I actually have not read yet. I have skimmed through the first volume, but I haven't sat down and read it. In fact, I plan to read this for 30 manga in 30 days, which I believe is hosted by Shay Geeks Out, and I want to say Library Tomes of Library. Really excited to read this a lot. And that is 1 Week Friends. It is a 7-volume series. As you can see, I have the first 5 from my library, and then I bought the last 2. And this seemed really good. I love the premise of it. Basically, it reminds me of, I think it's called 50 First Dates. And, you know, in the movie, I mean 50 First Dates, where I think Drew Barrymore, is that her name? The actress's name? But she forgets, like, what happened after a certain amount of time. Really sweet movie. And the concept of 1 Week Friends reminds me of that, where basically every week the main girl forgets what happened. She doesn't remember anybody except for, I think, like her family. And this guy whose head is cut off right here, I believe he's trying to help her remember. He really wants to be her friend. And I think just the whole manga is about them working with this, trying to help her remember. And if I'm remembering correct as well, I believe there is an anime, though I did not know that until my friend Maeve had recommended this series. So I think that this series had a low rating because people were, I don't know if complaining is the right word, but people were mentioning this kind of art style, like right here where it has these 4 panels. Okay, so I have actually never seen this in a manga. I have one manga that I plan to do for a giveaway. It's Japanese, and supposedly the manga is supposed to be funny because it has these 4 panels. Like, I guess this is supposed to represent something humorous, and I read a few of them and I thought it was cute. I didn't have an issue with it. I actually thought it was really unique, to, like I said, to see this in a manga because I've never seen this before. But people, I guess, really didn't enjoy that. And it does have, let me start from the beginning. It does have like the actual, not the actual, but it has like a manga, more manga-like that we're used to seeing. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I'm really excited to read this. I'm hoping it doesn't wreck me, but it seems so good, and I'm sure that it will be worth it. And my friend Maeve has some of the best recommendations. Please check out her channel. If you're like, I don't know what to read, she did a not top 2. It is a, like, maybe it is. It's something where she reviewed 2 manga titles and then she shared her thoughts on it. There were a lot of great titles in there, so I definitely recommend just like checking out that video and checking out her other videos as well. But yes, 1 Week Friends, super excited, hoping that I can share a review of this series here very soon. And that concludes my top 5 Wednesday of 5 books I felt had incorrect ratings on Goodreads. I love these, or like with 1 Week Friends, I'm really excited to read just a different kind of format that's in manga. Super duper pumped for that. Let me know some titles that you love and you on Goodreads and you're like, whoa, why is this rated so low when I absolutely love this? I would love to hear from you, friends. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!